All right, today we're going to step right into the memories of a young girl, told entirely in her own words. And this isn't just any story. It's really a look at the very moments that shaped a soul. So the story kicks off with this incredibly powerful and frankly heartbreaking memory. Just imagine her father's words, "Kiss your darling mother for the last time." It's more than just a request, right? It's this gentle command that slams the door shut on her childhood as she knew it. So yeah, this loss, it wasn't just a single sad day. It was the defining wound of her childhood. And it completely changed who she was, almost in the blink of an eye. And I mean, the change was, wow. It was immediate and it was total. The little girl who she describes as gay and expansive, just full of life, she was just gone. And in her place, a child who was timid and so oversensitive that even just a look from someone could make her cry. This wasn't just a kid being sad. This was a fundamental rewiring of her entire personality. Okay, so after this huge tragedy, the family decides to move, and this new house, it becomes the setting for pretty much the rest of her childhood memories. It's like a sanctuary, a safe little world they built for themselves. She called the place Les Brissonniers, and the way she talks about it, it sounds magical. It's in a quiet part of town, beautiful gardens, a lovely view. For her and her sisters, this house became their whole world, really. A place where they could finally feel safe and find some happiness after everything they'd been through. And right at the heart of this new world, there was one person, her father. He really stepped up to fill that immense void left by her mother, and their bond became the absolute anchor of her life. She even had a very special name for him. She called him her king. And it's in these simple, shared moments, like the fishing trips she talks about, that you can feel how she started to find joy in the world again. And their bond wasn't built on anything huge or dramatic. It was forged in these small, almost sacred daily rituals. Things like jam sandwiches that she said were so good you couldn't even find them in heaven, or their daily walks, and this evening blessing he would give her under his big traveling cloak. For this little girl, these small moments, they were absolutely everything. So while her outer world was all about gardens and walks with her dad, something really profound was starting to happen on the inside. An unusually rich and complex inner world was taking shape. It's like she was living these two parallel lives. On the outside, yeah, she was a kid playing in the garden. But on the inside, she was already past things like dolls. She says her thoughts were becoming very deep. I mean, think about it. She's talking about making perfect contrition after a small mistake and praying for a suffering stranger she saw. That's a level of spiritual thinking that's pretty wild for a kid her age. And this inner life found this huge, powerful moment in her first confession. Even though she'd been taught what to do, when the moment came, she felt like she wasn't talking to the priest at all, but speaking directly to God. And the feeling it left her with, she'd never felt anything like it. Just pure joy. A real, profound spiritual connection was made right there. So you can see how her faith was built on these very distinct milestones, and all at such a young age. You have the deep sorrow of loss at 4.5. A year later, that sorrow turns into a deep understanding of suffering. And then at 6, it all blossoms into this pure joy from her first confession. Each one was like a stepping stone, building on the one before it. But, not all of her powerful memories were about joy or faith. One day, she saw something in the garden. Something she could never, ever explain, and it filled her with this deep, unsettling fear. It all started pretty normally. She's at a window, looking out into the garden, and she sees a man. And she says he was dressed exactly like her father. He had the same height, the same walk. She was sure it was him. But then, as he got closer, she started noticing things that were off. The man was stooped like he was much older, and his face, it was hidden by some kind of veil. She describes this strange, creeping fear coming over her. This was not her father. So she's calling out to him, but the mysterious figure doesn't seem to hear her at all. He just silently walks past this group of fir trees, and then, poof, he's gone, just vanished into thin air. Her reaction was just pure terror. She starts screaming for her father, who it turns out was in another room the whole time. The vision left such a powerful mark that years and years later, she says the memory of it is just as real as the vision itself. It's this
inexplicable, almost prophetic vision that really cemented her sense that there's a world beyond what we can see, a world she was already starting to explore in her heart.
And from that strange, dark vision, we pivot to a memory of pure light. She remembers seeing the sea for the very first time and watching the sunset create this golden path right across the water. And in that moment, she saw her own soul as this tiny little ship, and she made a promise to herself to always keep it sailing on that path of light straight toward the shores of heaven. Just beautiful.
Her story is such a powerful reminder of how just a handful of moments of love, loss, fear, and faith, can literally create the blueprint for an entire life. And it really leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? When you look back at your own life, what are the scenes that really defined you? What are the memories, big or small, that set you on the path you're on today?